Ash, a high school student, is rejected by a girl he is trying to date when she learns that he's been doing an overwhelming amount of weight training. She likes muscular people, but not like that. Ash uses his gorilla-like strength and complains that they're useless. His only friend Kazu tells him all his efforts are pointless. In fact, Ash would be more popular if he just didn't do anything. When Ash found out that the girl he liked was into muscular guys, he went ahead and changed his entire body type. That's stalker behavior, and Kazu remarks that girls are not into that at all. Ash decides to step out for some fresh air. Kazu realizes that he may have gone too far, and he chases after his friend. He rushes down the hall and sees that Ash fell down the stairs. Kazu hurries down to help his friend up, but he realizes that Ash's head won't go up. Ash slowly opens his eyes and sees Kazu yelling at him. He feels his head spinning. His life flashes before his eyes. Thousands of hours of wasting time, but there were still things he wanted to do. When Ash opens his eyes, he finds his face stuffed in the girl's plot armor he's never seen before. Ash jerks away from her, and the woman calmly tells him to settle down. Ash is now dead, but there's nothing to be sad about. His soul is simply crossing from one world to another. Ash is being ferried across the river Styx. The woman is sure that Ash must have heard about its name at some point. Ash wipes away the tears from his eyes as he learns that he has died. The woman consoles him the best she can. Ash realizes that he is being inappropriate, and he pushes her away. The woman asks him what sort of girl he likes. Ash doesn't really have a type, but he tries to meet the other person's needs, though he always ends up overdoing it. Ash would like a girl who would see that he is only trying hard for their sake. The woman sympathizes with Ash. She likes those who are willing to do anything for others. The woman embraces Ash and encourages him to think of her as his lover for now. Ash cries into her chest. When they finally arrive, the woman says she must meet with Lord Enma, and so she parts ways with him. However, she promises to see him again later. Ash has no idea where he is, who Lord Enma is, or what he's supposed to do. The girl on the boat is also another enigma. Ash is later brought before Lord Enma, the massive lord of the afterlife, who decrees that he is to proceed to paradise. He orders Gasha, one of his attendants, to lead him there. Gasha, the woman Ash met on the boat, approaches him and frees him from his bonds and shackles. Gasha leads Ash towards paradise. When he asks her what paradise is like, Gasha compares it to heaven. Fortunately, the worst thing that Ash has ever done was trash some school equipment. Other than that, he's been a good kid. Gasha offers Ash a little trip to hell before they ride off into paradise. She wants to talk to him about something away from prying eyes. Gasha brings Ash all the way to hell. It is a fiery, inhospitable landscape where sinners are burned, boiled, and forced to perform escort quests where their walking speed is too slow but their running speed is too fast. Gasha explains that they are on the third layer of hell, the great masses. The main sin at this layer is lust. Those who commit sins related to lust or infidelity end up here. Gasha remarks that according to Buddhist teachings, if your love becomes excessive, you might also end up here. She asks Ash if he is afraid. It's hard not to be afraid when there's a tree filled with dead people less than 15 feet away. Gasha laughs. That was the whole point of her trip, and the whole point of hell. Gasha leads him deeper into hell, as there are even more interesting places to go to. Ash might be in hell, but Gasha seems so radiant to him, and it isn't because of the fire. He asks Gasha what her job usually entails, and she explains that she's a recruiter. She's always looking for strong, pure children, just like him. As Gasha turns around, Ash is nowhere to be seen. A few demons mistake Ash for an escaped sinner, and they try to crush him to death. Ash tries to explain that he's bound for heaven, but they refuse to listen. One of the demons impale him with a wooden stake. Gasha immediately rushes over to them and informs them that Ash is supposed to be bound for heaven. Unfortunately, Ash is already being crushed. Gasha peers into the rock, and she manages to catch a glimpse of Ash as the rocks flatten him like a pancake. The demons are unsure of what to say. They reason that Ash will simply come back to life since they're in hell, but that's hardly the point. Gasha apologizes to Ash for making him undergo such a scary experience. Suddenly, she and the demons hear the boulder cracking from within. It is impossible for a human to move the boulder. They're right. Ash manages to slightly push the boulders to the side, but he is still trapped within. Gasha asks Ash if he can hear her. She promises to do something seductive and alluring if he can get out of his rock prison. However, it would be lust if they did it now, so he'll have to claim his reward when he's older. Say no more. Through sheer will, grit, and hormones, Ash pries himself out of the boulder. Ash crushes the stone, grabs the stake inside his chest, and pries it out. He asks Gasha not to sell herself so short because he's absolutely fine. It's just a flesh wound. Ash gives her a brave smile before collapsing from blood loss. Gasha rushes over to pick him up. She's greatly impressed by him. She's never seen anyone as strong in body or will as him in the last 500 years. She invites Ash to come to her school, where she serves as the headmaster. Ash finally loses the strength to stay up. Gasha encourages him to go to sleep for now, and she requests a few of the demons to bring him to her school. Ash wonders if Gasha's school is like heaven. If she teaches while wearing a teacher's uniform, it might as well be. Ash is brought to a school that seems reminiscent of hell. Multiple students tear each other's faces apart while Ash's homeroom teacher introduces him to the rest of the class. Ash's teacher urges him to ignore them. It's hard to ignore them when one of their intestines is on his head. Ash wonders what happened to going to paradise. Meanwhile, Gasha happily informs Lord Enma that her newest recruit is showing some great potential. Ash's teacher instructs him to open his book and read the first line. It's hard to read when half the class is trying to kill each other. Ash explains that he can't read the book. It's soaked in bodily fluids and not the good kind. The teacher reassures him that he won't be executed for it. The teacher reads the passage, which details the origins of their school, on Ash's behalf. Long ago, there were humans on Earth who came to learn how to form alliances, how to create languages, and how to find new ways to kill one another. Lord Enma quickly became overwhelmed by the overwhelming number of dead entering his domain. The increasing number of dead also made it difficult for those in hell to torment sinful souls, and it became necessary to cultivate more superior devils. Thus, the Torturing Devils Academy was formed. Ash's classmates finally stop killing each other long enough to notice that there is a human among them. Ash tries to explain that he has no idea what's going on either. The teacher likewise doesn't know why a human is in his class, and he remarks that it may have something to do with Gasha liking him. The other demons are furious to learn that Ash has Gasha's favor. Ash flees the class, with the demons right on his tail. A teacher guides a group of first-grade demons on an outdoor biology class, specifically to a pond of poop. Humans who are uncertain about Buddha's teachings are dropped straight inside, all the way to the bottom. Ash wants to find Gasha as soon as possible, and find a way out of this literal hellhole. The teacher informs her students that the area is littered with needle-mouth bugs, a flesh-eating bug that just so happens to attack Ash. Ash does his best not to scream out in pain, and he throws the bug away. However, Ash notices that his wound seems to miraculously heal on its own. This feature is by design, as it enables demons to torment humans forever. The teacher instructs her students to gather the bugs and encourage them to mate. Ash crawls away as far as possible. Even if his body is immortal, it still hurts to have a chunk of your flesh ripped off. He wants to get out of the school, but he remembers how earnestly Gasha invited him to attend. At the same time, Ash would love to not be in a school where nearly everything is out to kill him. Ash is startled when the bushes in front of him start to move. To his relief, it's just Gasha. Ash starts to cry. Gasha apologizes for leaving him so suddenly, and she promises to take him somewhere safe. Gasha leads Ash by the hand, and they leave the wooded area. Ash exclaims inside his mind that he loves her. He notices that the atmosphere has gotten quite awkward, so he makes small talk by complimenting how diverse the learning environment is. Gasha asks him if the school was so scary that he couldn't stop shaking. Ash replies that it was so scary that he could die. It's just as Gasha thought. Ash tries to cheer her up by saying that hell is supposed to be scary. Gasha lifts her bangs and reveals her horns. They are from different species. Ash shouldn't have to trouble himself by trying to cheer her up. Gasha apologizes for tricking Ash with her disguise. She only wanted him to like her, but she had forgotten just how far apart humans and demons see the world. She was mistaken. Gasha eventually leads Ash to a gate that will take him to paradise and a different path of rebirth. Ash asks her why she bothered to take him to hell. Gasha replies that she had an inkling feeling that Ash would rise above the demons and control his temperamental classmates. Ash suddenly wants to fulfill that role. Gasha warns him that if he does not leave soon, something scary might happen. As if to prove her point, a dragon suddenly flies out of the nearby trees, which Gasha swats away like a fly. Demons riding the dragon try to steer it back so it can attack Ash again. Ash asks Gasha what that is, and she explains that it is a dragon that the school raises as a pet. However, no matter how well kept it is, the students somehow manage to find ways to break it out. When demons reach adolescence, they have a tendency to run wild, similar to how humans experience drastic mood swings or personality changes when they reach puberty. Gasha wanted to rely on Ash's spirit and sincerity to try and change their behavior. Ash doubts that the demons would listen to a human like him, but Gasha reassures him that he is special. He possesses a quality that no demon could ever hope to acquire. He has the qualities of a good person. It is a shame that they have to part ways. Gasha can plainly see that Ash is still hesitant, even though she offered to do something seductive for him. Ash tells her that she shouldn't sell herself so short. Besides, he is still quite confused by what is going on. He wants a better explanation. Gasha decides to keep it short. She suddenly grabs Ash and bites his ear in front of the other demon students. Gasha tells Ash that he's so unbearably cute. She wants to eat him up, but it conflicts with her need to instill him with fear. That's not something she wants to do. She urges him to quickly go to paradise and put this scary experience behind him. When Ash's soul reincarnates, she promises to meet him again. She'll always be here, no matter how many times his soul goes through the cycle of life. Angry doesn't even begin to describe what the demon student feels. He's going to make Ash go through, quote-unquote, 100 million deaths. Gasha tells Ash to hurry up and cross the gate. Instead, Ash confronts the dragon and catches it head-on. No matter how torn up and ragged his human body becomes, it will go back to normal. He refuses to be afraid any longer. As long as Gasha is on this plane of existence, this place will be his heaven. Ash slams the dragon down with his bare hands, shocking the students watching him. The demon stomps on the dragon's head and tells it to get up. In response, the dragon grabs the demon by his shirt, flies into the air, and drops him toward the pond of poop. As the demon falls, he is relieved to see that the pond is still several meters away. He's falling into something much worse, the needlebug breeding area, courtesy of the first grade class. What happens to him is so indescribably disgusting that it will never be spoken of again. Ash decides to save him. He sympathizes with his classmate. If only the new student was enjoying himself, he'd be a bit upset too. Ash's teacher arrives after hearing that their 14th dragon has escaped. He calls Gasha a true devil for keeping Ash here by making him fall in love with her. Gasha asks the teacher, Sada, if he saw what she saw. Ash defeated a dragon with his bare hands, which requires a power that no mortal could acquire even after 100 years of training. He possesses something divine. His soul is devoid of wickedness. Gasha is convinced that Ash is a boy sent by Buddha himself. She sees that Ash has the potential to become the school's #1 student and the successor of Lord Enma. Sada is more restrained in his assessment. He believes that Gasha is overestimating Ash. An ordinary human might be unable to withstand Hell's trials, but she's confident that Ash can pull it off. He is far from ordinary. The Three Realms Torturing Devils Academy lies on the first layer of Hell, the Hell of Eternal Torment. Ash wakes up one morning and realizes that if he married Gasha, he'd be able to live with her and kiss her as much as he wants. With this goal in mind, Ash mentally prepares himself for whatever physical and mental torture awaits him. Upon exiting his dorm room, Ash overhears two students talking about being late for an exam. Ash follows the other students to the aforementioned exam. The examiner is head teacher Nanda, a ruthless, fish-type demon. They are already behind schedule, thanks to some tardy students. Gasha had instructed him to ensure everyone is able to take the test. However, from here on out, he's in charge. He intends to sort the students out and toss away anyone who is incompetent. Nanda announces this year's first freshman exam. They are to enter the Forest of Flames and retrieve a single chicken egg. This sounds simple enough, but the stakes are high. Whoever is unable to return with an egg will be expelled. He remarks that they can still become torturing demons if they are expelled. Hell is always in need of low-paid staff. The moment the exam begins, the demons rush into the forest. However, Ash boldly raises his hand and asks if Gasha teaches any classes. Nanda threatens to kill him if he asks a dumb question like that again. Ash takes this as a challenge to survive the test and find out for himself. Nanda watches with agitation as a human takes the exam, and he wonders if Gasha is mocking them somehow. Ash is carried away by a tsunami of demons. He overhears a female student being overwhelmed by the crazy mob, and he does his best to try and help her. Unfortunately, a passing student elbows him and sends him flying into a nearby tree. Ash hears a beautiful voice that soothes his very soul. Ash regains consciousness, though the girl warns him not to move as his head is still bleeding. She unwraps the ribbons around her arms and urges him to put his head on her lap. Ash is hesitant to do something so indecent. A girl's bare arms aren't that big of a deal. She wraps his head with her ribbon to stop the bleeding. Ash apologizes for the trouble he's caused her, though she tells him he shouldn't be so formal. Ash compliments her singing voice, and she's a bit embarrassed that he heard all that. She introduces herself as Mimi, though she already knows who he is. There are rumors going around that Ash is just as strong as Juru, the boy who elbowed him earlier. Mimi recounts that in middle school, Juru slaughtered his entire class 100 times. However, since Ash is highly regarded by Gasha, she's confident that he can handle the held chickens without issue. The chicken pecks Ash's head and kills him. When he resurrects, he gets pecked again. Ash tells Mimi to search for eggs at the chicken's nest. While it is preoccupied with him, Mimi already went and took the chicken's single egg. She reveals that she put chicken food on his head. Can't have shite in the first circle of hell. Ash remembers all the times women have betrayed him. This moment is no different. Juru hears Ash scream across the forest. This brief distraction allows a held chicken to bite his arm off. This only makes things easier for him. Juru knocks out the held chicken with a single kick, allowing him to harvest its nest unimpeded. Juru begins traveling back to the school. The tree he lands on suddenly snaps, causing him to drop the egg. When he looks down, he sees Ash has smacked his head against a tree to remind himself what he's fighting for, Gash's love and affection. Mimi happily and shamelessly makes her way back to the starting area. She knows that she's one of the few cute girls in school, and she has no problems taking full advantage of that. She's going to capture the hearts and minds of demons by singing, dancing, and performing. Hell has no talent agencies, but she still intends to become the school's #1 demon. Mimi turns around and she suddenly screams, which can be heard all across the forest of flames. Ash recognizes her ear-piercing shriek. Juru kicks Ash and blames him for making him drop his egg. He's going to use him as live chicken bait and kill him if he refuses. Either way, Ash is going to die. Ash apologizes for breaking Juru's egg, but he absolutely must go and save Mimi. Juru replies that they're already heading straight for her. Wherever there's a chicken nest. Ash shakes his foot free and Juru stops. He tells Ash that being a demon means only doing things for yourself. He knows that Mimi tricked Ash, which tells him that he isn't cut out to be here. Ash knows that Mimi tricked him and lied to him, but she was still kind. He's going to save her, no matter what. Juru degradingly calls him weird. They hear the chicken shriek again, and they spot Mimi riding on the back of a massive, blazing held chicken. Isn't that where Gordon Ramsay cooks? Ash climbs up a tree, jumps down, and asks Juru to hit him with a fastball special. Juru angrily kicks him for being treated like a springboard. Juru acts as a springboard to launch Ash high into the sky. The held chicken Mimi is riding starts going berserk. She manages to temporarily stun it by screeching into its ear. If the held chicken wanted to be yelled at, it could have just gone back to its wife. Ash barrels toward Mimi and the held chicken and strikes it like a human bullet. Ash successfully knocks the chicken out. As he looks around for Mimi, she emerges carrying a chicken egg way bigger than the last one she dropped. She thanks Ash for saving her, but she's not going to hand the egg over. Ash is just glad to see that she is okay. He's concerned that all that screaming she did may have injured her throat, and it'd be bad if she couldn't sing anymore. Mimi is stunned. She recalls all the other times her peers mocked her for practicing her singing. As a reward, Mimi wraps Ashy's face with her cloth and kisses him over it. She swears to make Ash her #1 fan. It turns out that he, Mimi, and Juru are all in the same class. Ash ran out of the classroom before he could notice. Ash thanks Juru for helping him earlier, though Juru insists that he wasn't helping. He once called Ash weird. He takes that back. He calls Ash a complete idiot. As Mimi leaves, Ash realizes that he still hasn't gotten an egg. He looks for the held chicken's nest and discovers a single remaining egg. Ash quickly grabs it before the mother comes back. On the way back, Ash notices that his egg feels a little too soft and fuzzy to be an egg. The so-called egg uncurls itself into a small puppy. Ash wonders if this is what chicken eggs are like. Juru is right, he is an idiot. Ash examines the dog in his hand. He still doesn't have an egg. The dog suddenly bites Ashy's face off, angry that his hunt was interrupted. Ash warns him not to go toward the forest, as there is still a held chicken on the loose. The dog, Osamu, discovers that his lover, Pamiko, has decided to marry a taller, better-looking dog. Despite Osamu's best efforts, Pamiko leaves with her new husband. This is Osamu's 200th failed relationship in a row. Ash is driven to tears. He's always had terrible luck with women, and he sympathizes with Osamu. He goes back to looking for an egg, but Osamu stops him. He apologizes for biting him earlier, and he offers to turn into a chicken egg for him. Ash just kind of stares at him. Nanda instructs the students to line up their eggs on the table so he can begin his examination. Osamu, still in his egg form, carries Ash all the way toward the exam area. Ash begs it not to talk, move, or do anything a chicken egg wouldn't be able to do. It's suspicious for an egg to be moving at Mach 4. When Ash arrives at the exam venue, Nanda grabs his egg and remarks that he's the last to get there. He has all the surviving students line their eggs up on a table. He alone will decide whether or not someone will pass. He will score all their eggs from 0 to 100, and he threatens to kill anyone who moves from their spot. Osamu grumbles that Nanda has something stuck up his behind. Ash begs him to keep quiet. Nanda begins grading the students one by one, and he ruthlessly gives several of them single-point scores. However, he gives Juru a staggering 90 points, and he recalls that he graduated from the top of his class. Mimi calls attention to her own extremely decorated egg. Several students wonder if that's even allowed. Nanda glares at her egg, based on her design choices and attention to detail. He also gives her 90 points. Nanda is disappointed that he's only seen 2 notable eggs so far. He spots a student nervously shaking in place. He crushes his egg, which turns out to be nothing more than mud coated with chalk. He expels the student on the spot, and as an added punishment, he rips out his tongue. He'll have to start over in kindergarten. Nanda asks if anyone else is thinking of tricking him. Osamu mutters that Nanda should just retire. Nanda moves on to the next portion of his examination, fire resistance. Nanda commands a dragon to breathe fire, burning several of their eggs to dust. The students rightfully complain that Nanda ruined all their hard work. Nanda explains that held chicken eggs taste best when roasted, and he plans to eat all their eggs later. Incidentally, those whose eggs turned into ash lose 20 points, and those who complained about him lose 2,000 points and are immediately expelled. They are also burned alive. Nanda prepares to roast the next line of eggs. Ash tries to run away with Osamu, but he refuses to budge an inch, even though he might get burned to death. Nanda threatens to expel Ash if he tries to interfere. As the dragon breathes out a stream of fire, Ash boldly shields Osamu with his own body. The area is filled with a blanket of smoke. Gasha arrives just in time to observe the examination and witness the spirit-sending wolf. Gasha explains that Osamu is a master shapeshifter and ruler of the Forest of Flames. Osamu has reportedly been pretending to be an egg so that it could bite into the stomachs of held chickens. Osamu asks her who the hell she is. Ash carries him away and explains that Gasha is a very important person to him. Osamu apologizes and promises to show due respect to his breeding partner. Gasha approaches Ash and tells him that bringing back Osamu is a way more difficult task than bringing back a chicken egg. In recognition of his stellar performance, Gasha awards him a Lotus Medallion. She personally gives him a score of 120 points. She turns to Nanda and asks him if he has any objections. Nanda has no choice but to recognize her authority, and he acknowledges the difficulty of bringing back Osamu. Ash happily runs over to his new friends, though Juru clarifies that he isn't his friend Buddy. However, a few students aren't pleased that a human was awarded a Lotus Medallion, and they plan to tell the higher-ups about it.